I'm Jaime Ocon for Taiwan Plus here at a military base in Taiwan's northern Hsinchu County to see how the country is enhancing its combat readiness just before the Lunar New Year holiday.
Work crews race to clear landslide debris and reopen the highway linking eastern Taiwan to the rest of the country. Taiwan homebuyers are being left high and dry after apartment units they bought on plan were never built. Plus, numbers of endangered leopard cats found killed on Taiwan roads have returned to record highs. A warm welcome to Taiwan Plus News. I'm Leslie Liao. President Tsai Ing-wen has wrapped up a tour of Taiwan's Air Force bases just ahead of the Lunar New Year holiday. On her last visit, she commended pilots for protecting the country's skies amid continued military pressure from China. Jaime Ocon was at the home of the Air Force's 2nd Tactical Fighter Wing earlier today.
As one lunar year comes to a close, President Tsai is finishing a mission of her own, a tour of the country's military bases. Her last stop, this northern airfield, home to Taiwan's 2nd Tactical Fighter Wing. Tsai took time to commend the Air Force personnel after their victory in a recent war game simulating an incursion from China.
而在刚才我也看到，我们空军第2联队在年度战术总验收得到空战王以及剑靶王荣誉的优秀教官，充分的展现2联队平时扎实的训练成果。那么近期攻击扰台，2联队也在第一时间升空应对，捍卫我们的领空。
President Tsai's inspection of Taiwan's military bases come as the country is seeing an uptick in Chinese military activity around its borders. For the past few days, Taiwan's Air Force has been conducting drills here at Hsinchu Air Base designed to bolster the country's combat readiness. These Mirage 2000 fighter jets are just some of the planes used to intercept enemy planes which fly close to the country's airspace. China has repeatedly threatened to bring Taiwan under its control and has not ruled out a full-scale invasion to achieve that goal. As part of its military pressure campaign, China often sends warplanes into Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. Though this zone is not sovereign airspace, these actions put pressure on Taiwan's military to respond. In 2019, Taiwan began publicly releasing information about Chinese incursions into the ADIZ. Since then, the country has seen a steady increase in the number of warplanes Beijing has been operating near its borders. During the president's tour, she reaffirmed the nation's commitment to defend its sovereignty.
面对中国的军事威胁，我们的立场很清楚，我们不会升高冲突，也不会挑起争端，但我们会坚定地捍卫主权和国家的安全，坚守民主自由的阵线。
Though there are serious reasons underpinning Tsai's tour of Taiwan's military bases, this last inspection is just a few days before the extended Lunar New Year holiday. And before she left, the 2nd Air Wing personnel made sure to say goodbye with a seasonal salute. Alex Shin and Jaime Ocon in Hsinchu County for Taiwan Plus.
Taiwan's Navy has provided a demonstration of its Taiwan Amphibious warship's ability to land troops and weapons. Ryan Hill-Kilpatrick has this report.
A public viewing of Taiwan's new amphibious warship in action. The Yushan, named after the country's highest peak, is the Navy's first domestically built landing vessel. It's capable of transporting long-range missile batteries and armed personnel from ship to shore. It's an important addition to the country's growing self-defense arsenal.
最主要的任务为护送2栖攻击部队、特遣部队实施登陆抢滩作业。线上的武力一切以自我防护为主。
Landing ships like the Yushan are often used in expeditionary missions. But if Taiwan falls under attack, they will also be vital in taking equipment, troops, and humanitarian aid where it's needed most around Taiwan and its offshore islands. The country's Marine Corps also simulated amphibious landings, which pushed their training to a new level.
一开始，我们有各种姿势的射击、移动中射击、两发射击，以及在移动中故障排除。 这些都是跟以往训练最大的不同的地方。
Launched by President Tsai Ing-wen in 2021, the Yushan is the centerpiece in Taiwan's ambitious efforts to enhance indigenous shipbuilding and to modernize its armed forces in the face of unrelenting pressure from China. Homeported at Kaohsiung, the ship is still undergoing sea trials and is yet to officially enter service. Ryan Hill-Kilpatrick for Taiwan Plus.
Cash for some, nothing for others. A cabinet spokesperson has told Taiwan Plus that the government's decision to limit a cash handout to certain foreign residents is because it's using the same rules as for a previous voucher scheme. The cabinet on Thursday said foreign nationals with permanent residency, diplomats, and spouses of Taiwanese would be eligible for one-time cash payments of nearly $200, the same as Taiwanese citizens. But all other resident foreigners, including migrant workers, are excluded. The spokesperson said eligibility was the same as for vouchers handed out at the height of the COVID pandemic. The one-time cash offer comes after the government took in significantly more tax than it originally budgeted for. Officials say the money will help people amid a slowing local economy and rising inflation. Taiwan's legislature on Thursday passed a slew of restrictions on smoking, which apply to both tobacco products and e-cigarettes. The new law bans the manufacture, import, sale, or advertising of e-cigarettes and raises the legal smoking age from 18 to 20. Flavored tobacco products will also be banned, and tobacco product packaging will need more warnings. Violators of Taiwan's Tobacco Hazards Prevention Act will also face increased fines. A major highway in eastern Taiwan is set to reopen on Sunday after a rock slide earlier in the week. Landslides like this aren't unusual in this rugged part of the island, and one lawmaker thinks the government hasn't done enough to ensure that the road is safe. John Van Trieste has more.
1,200 cubic meters of rock. That's how much these excavators have to work through. They're racing to clear the Suhua Highway, the artery that links the east of Taiwan to the rest of the country. It's been blocked since a landslide Wednesday. Work crews say the road should reopen on Sunday, but the closure may still have an impact on the economy of the eastern region, a scenic area and popular tourist spot.
目前来说，其实取消的或者是延期的比例不到5%，但最后我们认为影响的应该会在20%到30%。
The government has had to increase train service to the East Coast to pick up the slack. It's also arranged a temporary ship service to help bypass the blocked road starting Friday. The incident has highlighted the region's dependence on the highway and its vulnerability to landslides. And it comes just before the Lunar New Year, the busiest travel season of the year.
看看我们全台湾本岛，就是有花莲、台东，没有快速道路，没有高速公路。
The government has spent years improving the Suhua Highway. It finished a series of major works in 2020 that nearly halved travel times. But some think this doesn't go far enough. They say a program to improve safety that includes shoring up mountain slopes along the route has stalled.
6、7年来完全没有任何动静，我们到现在还没有看到时期跟日程，只看到口号。什么时候要给花莲台东人安全回家的路？
Though Taiwan's transport minister disagrees and says the project should be done by 2032.
我们现在就是全力把这一个说案赶快让它完成。现在已经重要规划完成现在我们在审了，然后环评也同步在进行。短期就是继续在电波再做一些强化。
It seems that even after road traffic on the highway resumes, the issue of how to keep this critical link open is set to remain a source of political friction. Howard Zhang and John Van Trieste for Taiwan Plus.
The leader of a Spanish delegation visiting Taiwan has said they intend to strengthen commercial ties between the two nations. The cross-party group of lawmakers arrived this week for a 5-day visit. This is the first contingent of Spanish officials to visit Taiwan in over 3 years. The delegation visited Hsinchu Science Park, the country's semiconductor hub. They did not meet with Taiwan's president or foreign minister. Spain, Germany, and Lithuania have all sent delegations to Taiwan in the first 2 weeks of 2023. Relations between the EU and Taiwan warmed in 2022 as Brussels toughened its stance on China. Last year, Spain's lower house passed its first pro-Taiwan statement in nearly 50 years.
subrayar nuestra oposición a cualquier acción unilateral que socave el statu quo en el estrecho de Taiwán. Nos reafirmamos en este acuerdo que dimos a conocer y que debe ser el mejor marco para las relaciones entre Taiwán y China.
Prosecutors in Kaohsiung are investigating the death of a local man in a mixed martial arts fight. 4 suspects, including the man's opponent and the fight's organizer, are under investigation for manslaughter. The fight was organized informally without the involvement of an athletics association. This kind of private match isn't regulated under Taiwanese law. But the victim's mother says she hopes those responsible will still face justice.
他们每一个人都有责任，凭你们一两句跟我道歉说，你也不知道事情发生会这样子，那就能带过了吗？
People who bought units in a new Taipei development before it was built have been left in the lurch after the developer ran out of money. The case is leading some to call for tighter regulation of the sector in Taiwan. Once again, Ryan Hill-Kilpatrick has more.
3 years ago, Ms. Huang bought an apartment on plan in their site in New Taipei. Within 3 months, every planned unit was taken, but the site remains an empty lot.
这虽然是我买的房子，不过说实话，我也是第一日走进来。
It's not uncommon for developers to offer homes for sale before they're built. This way, they can raise the funds needed for construction. And first-time buyers can also lock down a property with a down payment rather than having to pay the full cost up front. But for Huang, that amount still took a decade to save up. And now, with the developer bankrupt, it could all be lost. Homebuyers want to fight for their money, but pre-sale agreements can be notoriously convoluted and underregulated. Buyers pay into a third-party bank that then doles out the money to the developer for various expenses. But experts say the rules governing this exchange are too loose.
当这些费用因为目前在整个一个会计稽核制度不是很严格，所以如果只要有相关的这些公司运用的凭证的时候，就可以提领出来的情况之下，比较容易会造成这个建商在资金周转不良的情况之下，或者他即将面临倒闭的时候，会把这个预售屋价款里面专户把它给用这样子的一个名目提拨出来。
The problem in Taiwan is not as severe as in neighboring China, where a deep real estate slump has left city-sized developments unfinished. But now a labor shortage in Taiwan and rising material costs, caused largely by the COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's invasion on Ukraine, have halved the numbers of pre-sold units successfully delivered in 2022 compared to the year before.
一案建商，因为这个一案建商，他基本上可能就是看到别人在盖房子赚大钱，他也去买一块土地来盖房子。可是呢，基本上他的财力比较没有那么足够，而且经验也没有那么老道。那一碰到央行的这个信用管制，或是刚才提到的工料双涨，他们的一个因应上面比较没有这样的一个经验。
Property experts always warn buyers that there is inherent risk in purchasing properties before they're built. But Taiwan's Interior Ministry says it is looking at ways to restore consumer trust and minimize that risk in the future. That could involve tightening regulations around who can offer such deals and ensuring developers write in stronger guarantees that their projects will be completed. Ryan Hill-Kilpatrick for Taiwan Plus.
Coming up, Heaven's Angels. We meet the deity taking a motorcycle tour of Taiwan. More details after the break.
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world. Charted by the freest country in Asia.
5, 4, 3, 2,
A warm welcome to Taiwan Plus News. I'm Ian Kavat. Taiwanese semiconductor giant TSMC.
Public buses to be electric by 2030.
A mission that begins with listening.
And telling the stories of Taiwan.
In Taipei for Taiwan Plus.
Drawing insight from original thinkers.
And sharing it with the world. Taiwan Plus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
Thank you for watching Taiwan Plus News. For more stories from here in Taiwan, please download the Taiwan Plus app.
Welcome back. You're watching Taiwan Plus News. Turning to international news now. Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has landed in Washington for talks with U.S. President Joe Biden. This is Kishida's last stop on his tour of leading industrialized countries prior to the G7 summit in May. Before he traveled to the U.S., the Japanese PM met with his Canadian counterpart in Ottawa and signed a new defense pact with the U.K. Kishida's visit to the U.S. comes as Washington looks to strengthen its alliance with Japan, one of its key allies in the Indo-Pacific region. Earlier this week, the U.S. announced plans to restructure its military forces in Japan's Okinawa Islands. Japan has also announced a big rise to its own defense spending. For more on Kishida's visit to the United States, our reporter Stash Butler spoke to security analyst Eleanor Shiori-Hughes.
What are Biden and Kishida expected to talk about at these, their meeting?
I think that the bulk of the summit, tomorrow's summit, will be focused on security and defense issues in the Indo-Pacific, but not exclusively. They will also talk about economic challenges. Prime Minister Kishida will probably extend a hand to, perhaps see if the United States could once again rejoin CPTPP, which is something I know that Japan is eager for the U.S. to do. But at the moment, I don't think that the United States has enough political stamina to do such things. And then finally, in terms of Ukraine, the United States will probably ask Japan to continue providing support on a humanitarian level and in regards to energy when it comes to the war in Ukraine.
Where does Taiwan fit into all of this, into these discussions? And when it comes to deterring an attack on Taiwan by China, do you think that the US and Japan are doing enough?
I think it's way too early to say at the moment if the United States and Japan collectively are doing enough. It will take years before Japan is able to actually receive weapons that will enable Japan on its own to deter against any sort of aggression, whether it be China, Russia, or North Korea, because the stuff that Japan is aiming to do in terms of defense reform, it's not just in preparation for a possible contingency in Taiwan. Japan recognizes that it has a host of neighbors that are already being provocative within the neighborhood. And in some cases, in a more globalized context, what's going on in the Taiwan Strait area is not just a regional issue, but it's become a global issue. And that is something that Japan has emphasized as of late. And I believe that's something that Prime Minister Kishida will continue to emphasize throughout his time while carrying the G7 chairmanship.
That was security analyst Eleanor Shiori-Hughes speaking to Taiwan Plus reporter Stash Butler. Brazil's new president has said that members of the country's security forces were involved in recent anti-government attacks. President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva on Thursday said that allies of his predecessor, Jair Bolsonaro, helped rioters gain access to government institutions. Supporters of the far-right former president stormed the presidential palace, Supreme Court, and Congress on Sunday. Their actions came after Bolsonaro lost his bid for re-election in October. Lula has vowed to remove hardcore Bolsonaro supporters from Brazil's security forces. Around 1,800 people have been arrested following the riots. American singer Lisa Marie Presley has died at the age of 54. The daughter of rock and roll legend Elvis Presley died on Thursday after being rushed to a hospital in California. She reportedly suffered cardiac arrest at home. Presley was the owner of her father's Graceland mansion, a popular tourist attraction. Her own music career began in 2003. On Tuesday, she attended a ceremony for the Golden Globes Film and TV Awards. She saw Austin Butler win Best Actor for playing Elvis Presley in the 2022 movie Elvis. The number of endangered leopard cats killed on Taiwan's roads last year has returned to record levels, according to a local research institute. Sally Ensign takes a look.
Another tragic loss for the endangered leopard cat. It's one of only 2 wild cat species native to Taiwan, and there are estimated to be only a few hundred left. The Endemic Species Research Institute says that of the 770 reports they received in 2022, 31 were about leopard cats that were killed on the roads. This number equals the record high set in 2019 and is 6 more than in 2021.
在有一些路段觉得不大可能发生的点，其实我们认为有一些前面的其他原因造成石虎在那个地方被路杀。
Researchers say the rise in deadly collisions is due to a leopard cat population increase. They believe that the accidents occur as a result of the leopard cat's unfamiliarity with new terrain.
确实，在南边的族群，我们认为已经有开始个体可能稍微往外扩散。那扩散的时候，确实在我们的边缘区，也就是石虎过去为什么没有办法分布的地方，可能就是所谓的高风险路段。那这个路段就可能造成石虎它的路杀风险更高。
Authorities in Taiwan's central Nantou County, where the majority of the deaths now occur, say they have set up signs to alert motorists. They also say they plan to expand ecological corridors to reduce instances of roadkill. But some conservationists believe that road signs and corridors are simply a band-aid solution.
因为他们就是希望可以开发，他们就会试着想要去提出一些所谓的保育对策，也就是他们其实是以开发为前提，然后呢去做一些保育对策。事实上，对野生动物来说，你就是做再多的保育对策，它的栖地还是被破坏。
Whether it's due to population resurgence or highway development, the leopard cat's roadkill rebound is a trend no one hopes will continue. Asnaya Zhou and Sally Jensen for Taiwan Plus.
A local motorcycle group has carried a traditional deity to more than 10 temples around Taiwan this year. They hope it will bring the country good luck. They started touring the third prince around Taiwan after the outbreak of the COVID pandemic, and they haven't slowed down. Sandy Chi has this story.
A motorbike out for a spin in Taiwan, a very common sight. But look closely and you'll spot an unconventional passenger. Yes, that's a deity known as the third prince wearing sunglasses sitting at the back. The third prince is one of the many gods of traditional Chinese folklore. His particular power is the ability to offer protection to the devoted. So he was a natural choice for the Taiwan Zhoutian Harley-Davidson group to turn to when the COVID-19 pandemic began in 2020. And so they did. As time went on, the size of the procession kept growing. This year, 12 motorbikes and 5 statues of the deity joined the ride.
疫情肆虐，对不对？这个许团长的号召，我们一起来为台湾祈福。我觉得这是一个很有意义的事。
And as the bikers' leader explains, such processions have a long history in Taiwan, even if the addition of motorbikes is a new twist.
也是台湾人非常喜欢的一种活动，所以说我们就用这个方式变成就是一个哈雷中年大叔进香团，这样蛮嗨的，而且啊沿路都人家一直在拍照。
It may not be like what you imagine when you think of a religious procession, but this group of bikers is happy to defy expectations. With any luck, their prayers will be answered, and Taiwan can look forward to a peaceful year ahead. Asnaya Zhou, Irene Wu, and Sandy Chi for Taiwan Plus.
A recent survey shows that Taiwanese are more willing to have children if they win big in the lottery. It might not solve Taiwan's dwindling population, but it's a start. Sam Robbins has more. Lotteries are a common part of Lunar New Year celebrations in Taiwan. A bit of fun, perhaps, or could this practice spur a baby boom? Taiwan's population is shrinking. Only 138,000 babies were born in 2022. That's nearly 10% fewer babies than 2021. The government has tried a range of policies to try to encourage births. Those include subsidies and allowances, but most have been largely ineffective. It turns out straight money might be the answer. A recent study has found that people who win the lottery have more kids. The survey shows that the more someone wins, the higher their likelihood of starting a family. The study compared how many children lottery winners had given birth to according to how much money they had won. The researchers found that those who won over $33,000 were 7% more likely to have a child. This figure rose to 25% if they won $500,000. The finding couldn't have come at a better time. Many lotteries have big payouts to celebrate the Lunar New Year holiday. The highest prize offered is a little under $30 million. So will Taiwan's baby blues be solved in 9 months' time? The answer? Unlikely. People on the street have mixed reactions to the idea.
应该不会吧？怎么说？就是想拿去做别的事情。绝对会。如果有更多资源，当然 OK 啊。
It seems that people may need further convincing, but the study suggests that large sums of money are needed to increase the birth rate. One big problem in Taiwan is low wages. Pay has failed to keep up with business profits over the past 20 years. It's a fundamental problem the government needs to address if there's any hopes of lifting the country's lagging birth rate. Thank you for watching Taiwan Plus News. Remember to download the Taiwan Plus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with images of giant pandas doing what they do best, relaxing. I'm Liao. Take care and see you next time.